Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 2021 Hospice Vaughan Living Hearts Gala. My name is Luciano, and I am here with my co-chair, Romina Cordellucci, welcoming you to this wonderful virtual event for Hospice Vaughan.
Thank you all for joining us this evening. We are here at Louis' personal Mocha Gallery, just down the street on Woodbridge Avenue from the old Hospice Vaughan location, and not too far from the new one on Islington.
Tonight, we want to entertain you. Tonight, our virtual event will be celebrating the arts in hearts. We will be showcasing a series of artistic performances, all in support of Hospice Vaughan. Beginning with an insight into a brilliant artist working his magic, Anthony Ricciardi is a renowned multidisciplinary artist that has traveled internationally, showcasing his artwork and murals.
We will also be enjoying an operatic performance by Angelo Moretti, Canadian-Italian tenor. Angelo's versatile voice has led him to many opportunities and successes at a young age, including winning the hit TV show, The Next Star Supergroup.
Pretty interesting, isn't it?
Amazing.
We also will be unveiling the hidden talents of the Victoria International Ballet Academy, a theatrical art form using dance, music, and scenery to convey a beautiful story. A classical ballet performance will be performed into their studios right here in Vaughan.
Wow, they do a great job.
They do.
And for our feature presentation, the Living Hearts Gala is proud to feature Uninvited, the latest exhibit at the McMichael featuring Canadian women artists in the modern moment. The exhibit reveals a generation of extraordinary women painters, photographers, sculptors, architects, and filmmakers from a century ago, providing a contrast and conversation to Like a Vision exhibit celebrating 100 years of the Group of Seven.
Can't wait for that. Finally, we want you to enjoy our curated bites. With your purchase of your tickets, you have received an incredible assortment of appetizers shipped right to your door. I hope you've had them all laid out for your feast as we showcase these wonderful artists. A shout out to all the vendors in Vaughan that contributed to all of these food bites in support of the Living Hearts Gala.
My stomach is rumbling just thinking about them.
I can't wait to do that.
Though this year's an unconventional gala, we are fortunate to have the continued support of the community and offer an experience like no other, all while keeping some gala traditions alive.
And what is a gala celebration without a traditional 50-50 draw? Yes, we have a 50-50 draw this evening, and you could win only if you play. If you've not had a chance to purchase your tickets, for the 50-50 draw, don't worry, you can still do that now online. The draw will occur Monday and winners will be posted on our website.
And 100% of all the proceeds from the raffle will be given directly to Hospice Vaughan. So don't be shy and buy. My personal favorite part of a gala is the online auction. A little bit of shopping, a little bit of competition. Is there a better mix that exists?
No, there isn't at all.
This year we've been very lucky to secure some incredible products and experiences, including some luxury gift baskets, art, and experiences. You can navigate towards the icons on your screen and start bidding right now.
100% of the proceeds from the online auction will be given directly to Hospice Vaughan. A special thank you to all the individuals and vendors who contributed the items for the online auction. Big thanks. We are beyond excited to have the world-renowned artist Anthony Ricciardi give us a behind-the-scenes look at the creation of his custom art pieces for Hospice Vaughan. So let's just go check it out right now.
To me, the heart is more than just a shape. It's an entire emotion, it's an entire feeling. It is a moment in time. As you guys know, I add hearts into a lot of my work, but the true message and the true vision that I had with the hearts is to tell myself continuously, when you follow your heart, incredible things can happen. And each of these hearts represent a different moment in time.
Wow, what an incredible piece. Not only do celebrities such as Demi Lovato and Shaq own Anthony Ricciardi's work, but now it is your turn to take a chance at a one-of-a-kind piece. Head to our online auction to place your bid to fill your house with color, love, and Canadian artistry.
Let's do it.
Now, what would an event be without a few words from His Worship, the Mayor of Vaughan, Maurizio Bevilacqua? He truly has been a continued support and champion of Hospice Vaughan. He needs no introduction, so here he is, Mayor Maurizio Bevilacqua.
Take it away.
I'd like to welcome everyone attending this year's Living Hearts Gala in support of Hospice Vaughan. The Mayor and Nick Cortolucci Hospice Palliative Care Center of Excellence made history as our first city hospice palliative care facility because of people like you and a dedicated team of community leaders who had the vision to transform end-of-life care in Vaughan. The dream of bringing hospice palliative care closer to home is now a reality. Investing in healthcare is fundamental to city building, and through your commitment, compassion, and generosity, we are making a meaningful difference. Thank you once again for your continued support, and have a wonderful evening.
We are delighted to celebrate our very own hospice here in Vaughan. Hospice Vaughan is a special place, and we are very fortunate to have hospice care available to our community. Hospice Vaughan is a non-profit charity and was made possible by the tireless efforts of past volunteers and incredible donors.
So how did we get here? How did the idea of hospice care really begin?
The idea of hospice goes back as far as the 4th century AD, when monasteries and other religious orders opened their doors to pilgrims, the elderly, and the seriously ill.
It was based on the principle of simple charity. It was as much about feeding the hungry and giving weary travelers a place to rest for the night as it was about caring for the dying or the healing of the sick. By the 19th century, the meaning of hospice care narrowed. Hospices were run for a specific focus on those who were dying. In most cases, the hospices were still run by religious organizations and were open to the poor.
The first truly modern hospice was opened in 1967 at St. Christopher's in London by Dr. Cicely Saunders, who took a broader view of hospice care. Saunders believed that not only was comfort and pain management central to the daily life of a patient, but also emotional and spiritual support.
Home care also became a focus. The idea that patients should spend their last days in a hospital was challenged and replaced with a broader range of options that included home care. Saunders was instrumental in bringing the hospice movement to North America.
Our birth in Vaughan began in 1995. Hospice Vaughan, a not-for-profit organization, has provided in-home visiting volunteers, a day program for seniors, and grief and bereavement support, as did Dr. Saunders for St. Christopher's in 1967. All Hospice Vaughan programs and services are provided free of charge. In June 2021, Hospice Vaughan moved into a new 25,000 square foot facility, the Mario and Nick Cortolucci Hospice Palliative Care Center of Excellence, a tremendous example of our community taking care of its own through passionate care.
Our new Hospice Vaughan has grown to include 10-bed residential hospice, family support, bereavement services, and more. It will serve as a community supporting research, education, and knowledge, providing palliative care best practices. Imagine a compassionate place where all who enter are warmly welcome and cared for. Whoever they are, whatever their circumstances, a comfortable place where pain is kept at bay to make space and time for whatever brings them joy.
This care is hospice palliative care. This is the better ending we all deserve.
This is Hospice Vaughan.
In the beautiful entrance of the Mario and Nick Cortolucci Hospice Palliative Care Center of Excellence, we are thrilled to hear the magical voice of the Canadian-Italian tenor Angelo Moretti perform. Angelo's versatile voice led him to many successes, winning the hit TV show The Next Star Supergroup. and now performs in opera productions and concert halls worldwide.
Now, for your viewing pleasure, Angelo performing 2 songs, beginning with Nat King Cole's Mona Lisa,
followed by an Italian art song, Moretti, by composer Francesco Paolo Tosti. Enjoy!
Hello everyone, my name is Angelo Moretti, and today we will be performing with my fantastic pianist and great friend, Mr. Tom King, is a song made famous by the great Nat King Cole, and is a song describing the beauty and mystery behind the fantastic painting, Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa, men have named you. You're so like the lady with the mystic smile. Is it only 'cause you're lonely that they blame you for that Mona Lisa strangeness in your smile? Do you smile to tempt a lover, Mona Lisa? Or is that your way to hide a broken heart? Many dreams have been brought to your doorstep. They just lie there and they die there. Are you warm? Are you real, Mona Lisa? Or just a cold and lonely, lovely work of art? Smile to tempt a lover, Mona Lisa? Or is that your way to hide a broken heart? Many dreams have been brought to your doorstep. They just lie there and they die there. Are you warm? Are you just a cold and lonely, lovely work of art? Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa. Quando spunta la luna a mare chiare, pure le bisci in ce fanno all'amore. Se devotano l'onne dell'umare per la priezza cagnano colore. Quando spunta la luna a mare chiare, c'è sta fenesta, la passione mia tuzzolea, nu garoffa nu adora, in te la testa passa l'acqua, pessa ter murmulea, a mare chiare c'è sta una fenesta. a mare chiare, c'è sta una finestra. dice Calistella solucenta non sape stocchica tu tieni in fronte. Sti due stella li saccia sulla menta d'intalo cuore ne tengo l'imponte. Chi dice Calistella solucente cetate caroli callaria e dolce quando mai è tanto tempo già aspettata accompagnali suona con la voce stasera una chitarra già portata chi dice Calistella solucente Cetate caroli
We are back, Romina. I really enjoy listening to Angelo's voice. Man, when he says that, Mona Lisa, Mona Lisa,
Oh, wow.
his hair flowing, it's just unreal.
Let's leave the singing to Angelo, Louis.
All right,
Just
I could
a little.
only dream that I could sing as well as he does, that's for sure.
It was great. Angelo's performance, his 2 songs right in the lobby of our new Hospice Vaughan facility. Thank you, Angelo, for that incredible performance. Louis, not so much. We didn't have to see that.
Each year, Hospice Vaughan looks to have a gala led by community volunteers. I am so honored to say that I am co-chairing my 4th gala. It's been wonderful organizing this event with my co-chair, Romina. Your first year for Hospice Vaughan.
It's been wonderful, and I'm so great to be working with Louis. It's been an exciting time, to say the least, and he's taken me under his wing. And to really see hospice care assist families in trying times. The facility truly provides dignified care for our community, which is what inspired me to become a volunteer here and be part of the hospice organization. 100% of the funds this evening are being raised and going to directly to supporting hospice services for our community.
Romina, I just want to let everybody know at home that both you and I are volunteers at Hospice Vaughan. The gala is primarily organized by volunteers. A shout out to this dedicated gala team that we have. Team members being Shamana Kassam, Diane Presta, Carmela Sisto, Janice Vidani, and we also had tremendous support from our gala stewards, Sam Ciccolini, Jennifer Mondesano, and finally, Gary Sangra. So thank you very much, folks.
Thank you so much to our volunteers. No galas would be possible without the support of them, as well as the generous organizations and incredible families that continue to support Hospice Vaughan, specifically through the Living Hearts Gala. With this in mind, we would like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank the following sponsors.
Thank you for all the support. An event like today's could not exist without the kind donations and sponsorships. We think it's so important to see where and how your funds are supporting the community. So let's hear some client stories.
My story started about 9 months ago when my wife passed. It was obviously very traumatic, to say the least. My wife and I, we didn't have any kids, so we were each other's world. The journey is a lonely one because a lot of what you want to share is very difficult to share with immediate family members because it's just a challenge at best. To move forward, it's very difficult. And that's why it was so critical to have hospice. It's been very therapeutic to have Hospice Vaughan acknowledge the extent of my world and appreciate the pains that I was experiencing when these kinds of journeys happen to you. A lot of your conversations happen within your mind, and it's very difficult to convey that. So when you're in a room with other people of similar circumstances and they start sharing, very profound. And it's very forward moving, so it was a good start. My journey is obviously a work in progress, and hospice kind of reignited my ability to look forward to things and re-engage with what I used to re-engage with. You won a lottery when you know you're living in a first world country. Further to that, you won a lottery when you have a hospice near you where you live.
Addio bei giorni passati, ma piccola amica ti devo lasciar. Gli studi son già terminati, abbiamo finito così di sognar. Lontano andrò dove non so, parto col pianto nel cuor, dammi l'ultimo bacio d'amor. Non ti potrò scordare, piemontesina bella, sarai la sola stella che brillerà per me. Ricordi quelle sere passate al Valentino, col biondo studentino che ti stringeva sul cuore. Rosina, il tuo allegro studente, da un giorno lontano e adesso dottor. Io curo la povera gente, ma pur non riesco a guarire il mio cuor. La gioventù non torna più, quanti ricordi d'amor a Torino l'ho lasciato il mio cuor. Non ti potrò scordare, piemontesina bella, sarai la sola stella che brillerà per me. Ricordi quelle sere passato al Valentino, col biondo studentino che ti stringeva sul cuor.
It is incredible to hear the real impact of Hospice Vaughan. There are so many stories just like this and with so many more to come. The facilities and programs continue to shine a light on challenging times.
Which is why your support today and funds raised are so critical, providing things like caregiver support or helping in funding the Children's Grief Program.
You can help by buying a 50/50 ticket, bidding on an online auction item, or just donating out of the kindness of your heart. And now, a driving force behind Hospice Vaughan, Executive Director Belinda Marchese.
A warm welcome, everyone, to the 2021 Hospice Vaughan Living Hearts Gala. My name is Belinda Marchese, Executive Director at Hospice Vaughan. Our Hospice Vaughan family and I are so grateful to be with you tonight as we celebrate the arts, kindness, and the community. The past 12 months have been a very unique 365 days for the world, managing a second year of the pandemic, seeing our new building open, and ensuring that compassionate care is present in Vaughan. We can only die once, and hospice care prioritizes the person and the community above all else, inspiring hope, focusing on spiritual beliefs, and knowing that each small gesture of kindness has a profound impact. For 26 years, the Hospice Vaughan family has continued to create positive change in the toughest of times in our community. Our collective impact and belief to ensure that palliative care for clients and families continues. Seeing the impact of grief and loss, the support it has on people's lives, this tugs at all of our hearts. We all understand what it is to love, what it feels like when those we love die. Today I'm sitting in our new home, the Mario and Nick Cortellucci Hospice Palliative Care Center of Excellence. We opened our door just under 4 months ago, and we have already served 36 individuals in our end-of-life care beds. Last year we served close to 450 individuals in our community programs and thousands more who were their caregivers and family members. All of this at no charge to any person and with the highest clinical skill and trained volunteers. We know our community needs more support and many are isolated and suffering alone. We thank you for your generous support. You have helped us create hope, and your ongoing support ensures we can serve our community. Today we have over 30 dedicated staff, over 160 volunteers, and foundational relationships with health and community partners. None of this could happen without our generous community donors. We sincerely thank you. This year Gala co-chairs Luciano and Romina Cortellucci, a dynamic duo, have led with much grace this past year to create our Living Hearts Gala. This reflects the heart of the people, the arts of the community, and the development of relationships. You have been incredible leaders, and tonight's event has been touched by your hearts, and we are beyond grateful. From the beginning, Mayor Bevilacqua has led by example. His spirit of generosity, creating a universal approach to care for others, and his unrelenting support of Hospice Vaughan. Your example of citizenship and kindness will be with us always. Thank you so much. There are many people for us to thank this year. A very special thank you to our Gala stewards, Sam Ciccolini, Jennifer Matasano, Gary Sanga, Janice Fedini, Carmela Sisto, and Diane Presta. You each continue to bring many gifts from the heart. We are so thankful for your dedication to the organization and the community. I want to thank all our volunteers across all the roles in the organization, from our board, the direct care volunteers who compassionately care for those we serve, our ambassadors, and many more who create an impact across the organization and the community. Each of you represent the kindness the world needs, giving selflessly, creating hope, and being present at very tender times. I hope you each take pride every day on the accomplishment the organization has achieved. Without you, we could not have reached such a milestone, and we know more will come together. Sincerely, I want to thank everyone who is participating tonight and those that made it possible. I hope you all continue to Stay safe, care for one another, and may kindness fill your hearts every day.
It takes a community to be able to support the services and programs Hospice Vaughan provides.
Ways to support is by checking out our online auction and the 50/50 draw this evening for you to support. So click on the items when you have a chance.
Hospice Vaughan has been so fortunate over the years to have the support of Nella and Angelo Cantardi and the entire Pizzaville team. We personally would like to take the time to thank them.
We hope their dedication will inspire those tuning in to give back to the community in any form they can.
Hospice Vaughan's community ambassador honorees this year are Nella and Angelo Cantardi. Many words reflect the sentiment from within our hospice family around Nella and Angelo. For the past 15 years, you have been dedicated supporters and our friends. You've supported our children's camp, our day program, our signature hike and gala events. Your ongoing generosity and belief to give back to the community is a beautiful display of love and caring. I remember the first day I met Nella and Angelo. There was an immediate feeling that overcame me. They spoke of the love of the community, the love of their family, and how kindness was something that they could do daily for others. It was so lovely to relate to such values and feelings, the beautiful gift that they continue to share with Hospice Vaughan. How it connects with us on so many levels, to the simplicity and purity of the community. As a family and a business supporting Hospice Vaughan, you've been part of our extended Hospice Vaughan family. We are so excited to celebrate you. Nella, Angelo, your entire family, as our 2021 Community Ambassadors. Congratulations.
Now, to add some grace and poise into the show, because we might be lacking
A bit.
since we are pleased to present a performance by Alexandra Moore, a student of the professional program at the incredible Victoria International Ballet Academy.
The Victoria International Ballet Academy has been dedicated to providing the highest quality of classical ballet and dance training since 2003, raising the young generation of dancers, providing ballet education to students of all ages in our community of Vaughan, Ontario. To enchant you, Alexandra will be performing the classic ballet variation of Odette from the ballet Swan Lake, music by Tchaikovsky.
absolutely stunning performance that leaves me a bit moved, maybe a little inspired to dance. I don't want to scare you at home with my awkward Elaine-style dance moves, so I won't do that. But I do have some great news for all of you. This year, my wonderful and dedicated co-chair, Louis, has graciously stepped into the role of the chair of the board of directors. So without further ado, let's hear his address.
2021 has certainly been a roller coaster ride for many of us, as COVID-19 has set an incredibly challenging path for us once again, for our communities across the globe, and of course for ours right here in Vaughan. It has been a year of resilience, perseverance, and triumph. I say triumph because just a few months ago marked a monumental moment for hospice care here in the city of Vaughan. Hospice Vaughan opened its doors to our new facility, the Mario and Nick Cortellucci Hospice Palliative Care Center of Excellence. A tremendous accomplishment attributed to you, a generous community of donors, sponsors, volunteers, and ambassadors. With the continued leadership of Belinda Marchese and her dedicated staff and the financial support for our donors, are vital to the Hospice Vaughan's future in providing dignified end-of-life care, free of charge to anyone that walks through our doors. Tonight is a testament to a community's commitment to help and care for each other. How fortunate are we to have this expression of care and comfort called Hospice Vaughan. Thank you for joining us this evening, and please enjoy the rest of the show. You know, I just want to remind everybody that if you haven't had a chance to get your 50/50 tickets or to bid on the online auction, just navigate to the icon on your screen and check it all out.
You can do it right now. We need your money, we need your support. Check out the amazing auction items we have, and you have a chance of winning money with the 50/50 draw.
Oh, absolutely. And the bidding closes at 11 p.m. this evening for the online auction, and you could buy your 50/50 tickets right through the weekend. And our winners will be posted where, Romina?
On the Hospice Vaughan website. So share it with your friends, share it with your family, give them a chance to win. Maybe they'll share some money with you. We need your support, and we need it now.
Let's do it.
Now, for the true piece de resistance of our evening, we are taking you into the McMichael Gallery with Executive Director of the McMichael Canadian Art Collection, Ian Desjardins, and Chief Curator, Sarah Milroy.
Can't wait. Our gracious guests will be providing some background and insights into the two very important exhibits currently on display: the Uninvited Canadian Women Artists in the Modern Moment, and Like a Vision, the Group of Seven at 100.
Let's open our hearts to some arts.
Hello, this is going to be fun. Sarah Milroy and I have been talking about art for so long we can't even remember. And there's so much to talk about at the moment at the McMichael Canadian Art Collection, because we have two exhibitions. We each curated one of them. One is a Like Vision, which is all about the Group of Seven and Tom Thompson, and the other is Uninvited, which is about the women artists who were working at the same time. So we thought we'd talk about a selection of those paintings representing the two sides, as it were, and see what they're saying to each other, because art talks to each other like people do. So I think we'll start with the women, with Anne Savage. Sarah.
Yes, well, in the Uninvited show, which is, Ian mentioned it, it really deals with the women who are the contemporaries of the Group of Seven, but women that we don't know as household words in Canada the way that we should. So the very first thing you see when you walk into Uninvited, which is all through the upstairs gallery at the McMichael right now, is this wonderful painting, Temlaham, Upper Skeena River, by Anne Savage, who was a marvelous painter who lived in Montreal. She was a member of the famed Beaver Hall group of Canadian women artists who were trained by the wonderful William Brimner, who took the talent of women artists very, very seriously and really created an enormous difference in Canadian art. And you know, one of the leitmotifs in the show really is the way there were these close ties between the Group of Seven members and many male artists of the day with their women students and with their female colleagues. It's kind of in the intervening century that we've lost track of some of these incredible female talents.
That's right.
So our hope with the opening room of Uninvited was that people would walk in, they would see this amazing painting of the Upper Skeena Valley, and they would say, how in the world is it possible that I don't know the name of this woman, Anne Savage?
And if we go on to the next one that we were thinking about, this is A.Y. Jackson's first Snow Algoma from 1919-20. A.Y. Jackson, I think, proposed to Anne Savage.
He did.
1 or 2 times.
She managed to kind of...
Yes, aren't we glad that would have been a marriage made in hell?
Yes.
Anyway, this painting shows a very different approach to landscape. And the reason is quite interesting, I think. He started basically with a simple landscape based on sketches that he'd made in Algoma. And he then adds the foreground. We know this because he told his niece this, that he added the foreground detail, and those dark, burnt out trees in the foreground and the swirls of snow were added later. And what he's doing is effectively adding a dramatic narrative to the painting. And what's interesting, of course, is that shattered dead trees at this moment, 1919, Jackson had just come back from the war. And dead trees were part of everyone's visualization of the nightmare of the Flanders Fields and the Battle of the Somme. It had entered the consciousness. I don't think Jackson could have put dead trees in like that and not meant it. But it's a very different way of looking at landscape. Rather than soaking it up, he's actually imposing himself on the top of it. I think that's right. Very different.
So now for something completely different. Regina Seiden Goldberg, an artist of Jewish descent from Montreal, who was trained in Europe. She had a spectacular but very brief career before she got married to a fellow artist, Eric Goldberg, moved back to Montreal from Europe and promptly stopped painting and raised a family. But before she did that, she made some really indelible works that really should be a core part of the Canadian canon, and hopefully now will be, like the wonderful Pierrette that you see here. Just absolutely the embodiment of jazz age sass, and you know, with her hand on her hip and her glance tossed over her shoulder. She's going back to a really time-honored motif in European art, which is the Pierrot figure, which goes back into the 1600s and 1700s and all the way through to Picasso. But she's here giving it a completely modern inflection, and I just love this painting.
No, I think that's right. Now, of course, as a Brit, it reminds me of Laura Knight, who was doing an awful lot of theatrical kind of things at the same time. But she's got that Louise Brooks hairstyle. I do love it. And here we have another one. We wanted to compare it with Fred Varley, The Girl in Red from 1920-21, that kind of period, which is an absolute masterpiece. It's one of the great paintings in the collection, I think
so too.
And it's partly because of the dazzling color, that orange background. But it's also such a wonderful portrait. This woman is terrifying. I'm sorry, she just is.
That look in her eyes.
I mean, honestly, if looks could kill. And the other thing about it is the brilliance of the paintwork, because you think, oh, she's wearing white. She's got white fur, a white fur hat and a white fur cape, and it's white. It's not. There is literally every color but white in the painting of this. So it's as if he's painted a kind of impressionist snowfield.
It is.
Around this terrifying gimlet-eyed face, which is also very much part of that sass, that kind of 20s jazz age thing. This is a woman who means business. I admire her hugely.
And we're lucky that we have a number of wonderful portraits by Varley in the collection.
Yeah.
So Varley had a number of interesting women in his life, and one of the most interesting was Vera Weatherby, who is in our Uninvited show, a name that most people don't know in Canadian art. But she was Varley's very close companion. She had been his student at the Vancouver School of Art and Design. But Varley said that Vera had the single greatest influence on his life of any person. And one of the things that Vera opened up for Varley was an understanding of Eastern religion and ideas around things like auras, which very much become part of Varley's way of painting the figure, a very spiritual way of painting the figure. But here, Vera gives him the same treatment with this extraordinary picture of Varley that really gives us a sense of the power, kind of the energy kind of shedding off him in this really remarkable way with these shuddering brushstrokes around it. And this amazing likeness of him with, of course, the cigarette. but you know, he was a very complex, troubled and passionate figure that has left a great mark in Canadian art. But with this portrait, which is really one of the high points of the show, I think, Vera leaves her own mark.
I think that's right, and it's interesting that it should look so fractured, because he did have a kind of fractured personality. I mean, he struggled, he was a brilliant artist, of course, but he struggled with depression, he struggled with alcoholism. And actually the next one that we wanted to talk about is his painting, Night Ferry, Vancouver. That's 1937, and I think it's illustrative of that side of his personality, because his period in Vancouver was happy to begin with and distinguished, but had kind of collapsed around his ears, and in 1935 everything went pear-shaped and he was in debt, and he left, leaving his family behind, incidentally, and Vera, and went back east to do some work, try and get some work. But 2 years later he went back to the studio and painted this, and painted it in a kind of frenzy over time. And what it is, it's a memory of his time in Vancouver. And it's kind of hallucinatory in its colour.
Those colours, the way they flow.
It's a kind of fever dream of what it looked like. It's not precise, it's not a proper cityscape. And the point is that, you know, even he referred to that amazing wake from the ferry as being like peacock feathers. It's quite astonishing. And there's this odd, eerie moonlight. But what I think is interesting is the figure in the foreground at the front, standing with his legs apart like me at the moment, with his back to us. Because if you look closely, he's got red hair. I think it's Varley. I think it's a sort of self-portrait. He's projecting onto it, and this kind of extraordinary, disturbed memory of what Vancouver meant to him. It's a masterpiece.
And
it's
also,
one of his great paintings.
You know, very much looking back.
Yes.
You know, looking back, and there you'll see that there's a couple that are embracing on the right-hand lower part of the composition, and that sense of being alone, and you know, suddenly. On every level in his life, you know, it's one of our most wonderful pictures in the collection, and it's great to see it.
And actually, on to the other great portraitist who joined the group of seven, 1929, I think it was, Edmund Holgate. And we chose this because it's kind of typical subject matter for him. He liked nudes. He developed a whole kind of genre of nudes in landscape. But the interesting thing to me about this is that it's called nudes in the Laurentians, but I mean, frankly, I mean, they could have been, you know, down the local swimming baths as far as I can tell. There's nothing particularly Laurentian about it. A couple of rocks and some water. But it's really using nudes as a kind of compositional aid. It's nudes as architecture. He's not interested in skin tone particularly. No. They're the same colour as the rocks in the background, if you see that. And really what it's about is that foreground figure forms a bridge by elongating her back. And the standing figure is a kind of buttress. What it's about is that compositional triangle.
It's really almost like an abstraction in a funny way.
Absolutely. Look at the arms, you know, that, both of them have their left arms at the same angle, and it forms a complete geometrical line.
Pyramid.
Through the whole thing. So he's thinking of composition, he's thinking of structure, and he's even used the reflection in the water to enhance that triangular structure. It's a solid piece of building.
It is indeed, and it's also, you know, very much in that, you know, long tradition of bathers in the landscape, which is, you know, something that Prudence Heward that we see in this wonderful big nude from the Archipelago of Hamilton that is in the Uninvited show. Is really taking the traditional woman in the landscape type of image and really doing a number on it. I mean, this woman is like ferociously athletic. She is, you know, she's spread out in the landscape, but it's not like she looks particularly comfortable there. I think that the angle of her head and neck and the way the eyes are averted from us makes it not the traditional invitation to the viewer that is normally part of this genre of painting. In fact, it looks to me a little bit like it's painted in a Caribbean setting too. The vegetation is definitely not anything one would find along the banks of the St. Lawrence, which is where she used to paint often at her family's home at Fernbank. But, you know, it very much looks to me like she's been looking at British painting too, at Wyndham Lewis in particular. There's a crispness and kind of vigor with the way the figure is expressed in the face in particular that really reminds me of him.
Yeah.
She also, is giving the female nude a kind of force and power. I mean, this woman looks almost threateningly vigorous. And, you know, it's interesting to me that Prudence Heward hung this painting over her bed in her bedroom. So it was really, you know, kind of a challenge, I think, to anyone brave enough to find his way
Absolutely,
in
although
there.
you have to bear in mind it's possible because you couldn't sell it to anyone. I mean,
Yes, that's
you know,
possible.
And that may be the only room big enough to hold it. The other thing I would just say is, yes, Wyndham Lewis, but also there seems to be a definite hint of girly calendar about that.
Yes.
This hand behind the hand,
Yes.
it's almost a pastiche, and I would
Yes.
think it's strongly ironic knowing what I've seen of Prudence
Prudence
Heward's
Heward,
work.
yeah.
But wonderful
That makes a lot of
piece.
sense to me too.
Okay. Now we're moving on to Lemoyne Fitzgerald. And Lemoyne Fitzgerald was the last member of the group of 7. He was a member for about 20 minutes in 1932. He was invited in May, and then in November, J.E.H. MacDonald died, and they wound up within a month. And Lemoyne Fitzgerald has been sort of saddled with being the last member of the group of 7 ever since, but he wasn't there for very long. This, from the 1940s, is his masterpiece in our collection. And I think it's fascinating to me because he's so different from the group of 7 in many ways. But as a composition, this is classic. He likes windowsills. He likes that boundary between inside and outside.
That kind of threshold, yeah.
And beyond it, you've got geometry, really. You've got a path, you've got a pathway at the back that echoes the windowsill. So it's all very strictly controlled. And then there's something about Fitzgerald and trees. I don't know what it is, but it slightly disturbs me. There's something almost erotic about them. He's not interested in bark, he's interested in shape. And those 2 trees just outside the window are kind of doing this sort of slow, rhythmic
sway.
rumba.
They are indeed. And I just love in this painting the way that the little plant, I mean, which is he names the painting that, and he places that little plant in the beginning. It almost looks like it's like looking out the window at, like
Yes.
the big boys outside.
Will I be like that when I grow up? There's something wistful about
Yes,
the
there
plant.
is.
And I think that's what made us think of the next painting.
Yes, which is Emily Carr's magnificent Scorned as Timber, Beloved of the Sky, which is in the last room in Uninvited. One of the real masterpieces of Canadian art, which we're lucky enough to have under our roof right now. Scorned as Timber, Beloved of the Sky is from her late period when she is really thinking deeply about resource extraction, logging. She's seeing the landscape of British Columbia changing dramatically, but she's also finding, you know, beauty in the sky. She was quite a devout Christian, although not really a churchgoer. But you see that sense of a sort of a radiant energy in the sky that is sort of all-embracing. So even while mankind is going about his destructive activities, you know, on the ground, there is this sense of the energy up above, and this solitary figure. Like the little plant, there's a solitary figure here. Here it is the remaining tree that would have been left up as a tether for the spars that are used in logging to haul the logs off the land. But she makes something of this single tree that very much, I think, is something that she's identifying with. She was ahead of her time in her appreciation of Indigenous people and culture. She was ahead of her time in her environmentalism. And so, you know, you can see her here ruminating all of this, inhaling deep breaths of Walt Whitman along the way, which was one of her most important cultural influences, was actually through poetry rather than through painting, but also a kind of roiling sky, you know, worthy of a Van Gogh, you know, or other expressionist painters. So she's one of the most highly trained and sophisticated artists in Canada at this time. And, you know, people always talk about the emotional capacity in Emily Carr's paintings, but I think it's really important to remember too that she was very insightful. She was a very intelligent and discerning woman as well. It's just not just about big feelings with Emily Carr, but big thoughts as well.
But the comparison there is 2 great artists doing something seemingly simple and then giving you so much to think about there. And if that doesn't sum up these 2 exhibitions, I don't know what will. So I do hope you'll all come and have your own conversations about the different approaches to art that you can see upstairs and downstairs.
There's a lot to look at.
There's a lot to look at.
Some beautiful Canadian art and words from the team at the McMichael. A beautiful, beautiful spot to check out.
Yeah, the exhibits were just fantastic. I mean, if you haven't gone to see the exhibits, it's a must. Take the time and go check out the McMichael. On another note, as a final reminder, the online auction will close at 11 p.m. and you still have a chance to buy 50/50 tickets after tonight, as the winners will be posted on our website at hospicevaughan.com on Monday. So check it out.
So good luck to you all. Please continue to bid and please, please buy some tickets.
Absolutely. What a night tonight. Such great performances, Romina.
They've been absolutely phenomenal. I've enjoyed every single one of them, so it's been incredible.
Yeah, me too. I hope you enjoyed the curated bites and the wine that you, in your comfort of your home this evening. I hope you're able to also use all of your artistic skills in presenting all of the various items that you received. At this point, Romina, I just want to tell you that I hope you had a great time doing this this function with me. I thought you were great. We had a great. We are a dream team.
An incredible time. We are a dream team.
Dream team.
I've been fortunate enough to work with Louis tonight and every single day up until tonight, and it's been incredible. He is wonderful. I think we've really bounced off each other, so it's been great having Louis by my side this whole time.
Thank you, Romina. Thank you for all your efforts.
And we really need to thank the performers and artists and everyone who's participated tonight. So thank you, Anthony Ricciardi, Angelo Moretti, Alexandra from the Victoria School of Ballet, Ian and Sarah from the McMichael. Without you, this experience would not have been what it is. So thank you again. And now, unfortunately, our night must come to an end.
The time has come.
That is it.
But before we do that, as a reminder, the online auction will close at 11 p.m. And if you've not had a chance to purchase your 50/50 draw or bid on our auction items, not to worry, you can still do that right now. Just look for the icons around the screen and just click away.
We will be announcing the winners for the 50/50 draw on Monday, so get all your friends and family to buy tickets. Thank you for everyone for tuning in and supporting this incredible night, the team at Hospice Vaughan for serving the community, donors and volunteers. Without you, we would not be here tonight.
A special thanks goes out to our vision sponsors, Pizzaville Pizza and the Metropolitan Plumbing and Heating Contractors Association, and to all of the sponsors this evening, to our wonderful volunteers, and of course to all of you, our generous supporters. Thank you.
We want to wish you all a lovely evening, stay well, and thank you for supporting Hospice Vaughan from the bottom of our hearts. Let's celebrate our living hearts together. Good night, everybody.